How good are they? And what impact will they have? As many third-rate air forces around the world purchase Russian combat aircraft as they appear on the world's arms market for the first time. 29 Fulcrum. Cloaked under a veil of secrecy, it has long been a riddle how Russian fighter aircraft compared to their Western counterparts. But since the collapse of the Soviet Union, much more information has become available, much of it coming from the Russian designers themselves. Russia now operates two top-of-the-line fighters, the MiG-29 Fulcrum and the Sukhoi 27 Flanker. This is not a high-low mix, as in the American case, but rather is due to the different organization of the Soviet Air Forces. Technically speaking, the biggest distinctions between the Russian Fulcrum and Flanker are size and range. In order to patrol vast areas of airspace, the Flanker is an enormous fighter, similar to the U.S. Air Force's F-15. It has much greater range and payload than the smaller Fulcrum. The Fulcrum is roughly the same size as the U.S. Navy's Hornet strike fighter, and quite similar in performance. Of the two, the Flanker is the more impressive. It was designed specifically to match or surpass the U.S. Air Force's F-15 Eagle. As a result, it came several years afterward and incorporates some newer fighter technology, including fly-by-wire flight controls. It is also armed with an impressive array of missile weapons. The Sukhoi 27 forms the foundation of a whole new generation of Russian combat aircraft. Like the U.S. Air Force, the Russian Air Force is developing a strike version of the Flanker, the Sukhoi 34. The most advanced version of the Flanker, the Sukhoi 35, is still in development. It is being used as a test platform for several new innovations, including a vectored thrust engine for superior maneuverability. The Fulcrum is a smaller and less expensive fighter than the Flanker. It is the inheritor of a long tradition of Russian jet fighter design, including the MiG-15 fighter of the Korean War and the MiG-21 of the Vietnam War.
The MiG-29 was designed for very much the same kind of mission as an F-16. It has a lot of power and a lot of acceleration. On the debit side, as it were, the MiG-29's air-to-ground capability is not as refined in the current versions as the F-16's. The final and perhaps most serious shortcoming of the early version of the MiG-29 is it had very short range.
Although it has been assumed that the Russian Fulcrum and Flanker were simply copies of Western technology, new revelations about their design has cast these assumptions into doubt. Indeed, the Fulcrum reveals several unique approaches to design in the Russian fighters. For example, the matter of this strange bump on the nose of the Russian aircraft.
Well, there's a little tear-shaped blister at the in the nose of a MiG-29 or an Su-27, which is called the infrared search and track system. And this is it's essentially a terrific zoom camera, which enables the pilot to look far out, way beyond what the human eye could see.
As the veil of secrecy around Russian aerospace technology has lifted, we are finally able to take a more accurate measure of Russian combat aircraft. Pilot and aviation journalist Jeff Ethel recently had an opportunity to fly several of the newest Russian fighters and was very impressed.
These are phenomenal machines. They're built like tanks. They're built to have a 17-year-old maintain it with a ball-peen hammer. We can't do that. We can't even touch our airplanes without huge support facilities. So that's the first thing. They are rugged. They do fly. They do work. The second thing is they're cheap. They're much cheaper than ours, and they have the identical performance as far as speed, acceleration, power, all those things you want in a fighter. Are their radars as good? No. Is their avionic equipment as good? No. But do you need that extra last bit of Cadillac technology? Probably not. What you need is a well-trained pilot. And almost all studies ever since World War I have shown that the difference in a war is training.
This high degree of maneuverability is not confined to experimental aircraft. Russia has pushed the limits of the possible in its recent fighters, especially the Flanker. By using advanced fly-by-wire controls, The flanker can be made to perform this incredible Cobra maneuver, literally stopping in space. This would cause nearly any other fighter to fall hopelessly out of control. In this maneuver, the fighter rears up on its tail, its nose high in the air. For a few brief seconds, no air flows under its wing, no air through its jet engine. This is the classic recipe for a catastrophic stall and loss of all flight control. The flanker avoids these perils by superb aerodynamic design and state-of-the-art computer flight controls. Although the Cobra maneuver is a remarkable air show demonstration, its usefulness in combat is open to question.
The classic thing that you don't do in a dogfight is anything that actually destroys your energy. And in the case of the Cobra, you come out of that maneuver in a very predictable, slow, level flight regime. So that you may use it to try and squeeze a shot off at one adversary who is then going to shoot straight past you. But if there's anybody else out there in the sky, you're low on speed and low on energy, and you're a sitting target.
One of the most impressive features of current Russian fighters is the latest generation of close-range dogfighting missiles. This missile, called the R-73 by the Russians and codenamed the Archer by Western intelligence, is widely regarded as the best in its class in the world today.
When it appeared, it came as an enormous surprise to the West, because here was a highly agile missile. It beat the pants off Sidewinder, and it also was a big weapon. It could knock down just about any target that was out there. The West had nothing that was comparable to this.